You have to make it happen. If you don't make it happen, it's not going to happen. What are you waiting for? Are you waiting for some sort of a miracle? Are you waiting for some sort of a magical circumstance to or just appear in your life? They may not even realize it, but you can hear it in their language.
Dangerous not in the way of harmful to others, but being the type of person that can't be harmed, person that can't be messed with.
If you have been a subscriber of my YouTube channel, no doubt you've come across a lot of my content which is focused on wealth creation. I make no apologies for it. I really believe that having financial wealth enables you to really fulfill your life's purpose. It enables you to maximize your potential. It gives you choices and it allows you to make a contribution. And in this video, I really want to talk to you about what are some of the perspectives and behaviors and habits that keep people poor. I very strongly believe that poverty is not a permanent condition for the majority of people anyway. If you live in the developed world or you live in a developing economy and the country that you live in is not under dictatorship rule, and if there is no threat to your life and you don't have a critical illness, you have a shot at becoming wealthy. Especially if you've got the ability to be able to watch this YouTube video, which means you have access to the internet and you've got access to YouTube and social channels. Well, the fact is that you have the ability to be able to create wealth. So people pretend that if somebody is poor or that there's nothing that they can do about it. People act like, oh my God, this person is so poor, that the only way that they can get out of poverty is for somebody else to give them a handout. That is really not true. If it was true, then I would have not been able to go from being absolutely broke to being in the position that I'm in. And I know how I did that. And one of the first things I did before I got financially educated was that I worked on my mindset. My perspectives about money are very different to the vast majority of people. The way I look at money, the way I perceive the act of wealth creation is very different from other people. So I want to talk to you about what I have observed over the years in terms of thinking patterns and behavioral patterns which keep people poor. Number one, I have found that people who struggle financially generally don't understand the concept of fairness. Well, they think that fairness means that everybody should have the same. They don't realize that that's not what fairness means, because here is the difference in equality versus equity. You see, equality would mean that if there are 5 people standing and they're looking over a fence at a sports match, that they should all be given the same block on which to stand. That's equality. Equity is that if there are 5 people standing behind a fence watching a sports match, everybody should be given a stool depending on their height requirements. If somebody is shorter, they should be getting a bigger stool, and somebody who is taller should get a shorter stool. And that's the concept of equity. Now, how does that relate to wealth creation? Well, what that simply means is your ability to create wealth is dependent on your skill set. So a person with a low skill set doesn't deserve as much as the person with a high skill set. The other way that you would look at this is that wealth creation is more possible for people who have the ability to embrace and manage risk versus those who avoid risk. So that's the concept of equity. And when we assume that fairness means that everybody should get the same, we don't really understand that the person who has worked harder has made more sacrifices, has a higher skill set, and has a higher willingness to take risk, deserves more wealth than the person who doesn't have those attributes. And that's the difference between equity and equality. Equity is also about fairness, but fairness in terms of let's reward those who produce more and do more and take more risk versus those who don't. And so people who are poor generally have a concept of fairness that is based on equality rather than equity. And this keeps them poor because they keep assuming and they keep expecting that they're going to become successful and they deserve the same success as somebody else who has better skill and is producing more and taking more risk. And this is one of the fundamental assumptions that a lot of poor people have. And that's why they don't really apply themselves. That's why they don't build their ability to produce more, create more. That's why they don't build their risk management capabilities, because they keep thinking, well, I'm working as hard as this person, so we should get paid the same. This is one concept, one perspective that disables people mentally from moving forward financially. The second thing that keeps people poor is prioritizing spending over investing and saving. Now, of course, we all want to enjoy life and we all want to spend money. I spend a lot of money on lifestyle as well. But you'll find that the poor people or middle class people who are struggling financially will prioritize spending over saving and investing. The wealthy people will prioritize saving and investing over spending. That's not to say that they don't spend money, but their priority is, let me first save and invest, then I will spend. And so because poor people and middle class people spend first, they prioritize spending first, this keeps them poor. This keeps them in a situation where they never allocate money to buying assets, and that's why they never become wealthy. The third thing that I have heard in the language of a lot of people who are struggling financially is they love to prioritize sleep. Now, watch what I'm going to say here. Sleep is important. Of course, it's incredibly important. There's a lot of research and science that sleep is important. But poor and middle class people tend to prioritize sleep over other things. Like that is, for them, it's a non-negotiable. They're prepared to negotiate on other things. They're prepared to negotiate on the fact that they're not excelling in life. They're prepared to negotiate on the fact that they're not really doing well in life, their career is not taking off, that their financial future is completely messed up. They're okay with that. Oh, but sleep, that has to be prioritized. They must get their sleep. And so the prioritizing sleep over performance is one of the reasons why a lot of people never succeed financially and they never create wealth, because this way of thinking keeps them stuck and prioritizing comfort over performance. Now, don't get me wrong, I love to sleep myself, but I don't feel comfortable in sleeping in the mornings and sleeping for 9-10 hours every day if I haven't taken care of my responsibilities first. And I have found with all wealthy people, they have the same mindset and attitude that until I've taken care of my responsibilities, I don't really deserve to rest yet. But it seems to me that a lot of people who are struggling financially are perfectly fine in leaving all of their financial affairs in a big mess and be blissfully, be okay with sleeping for long hours. The other thing that I have found with a lot of poor people and middle class people is they prioritize their pride. You'll be surprised how many wealthy people I have met. They're not as arrogant as people assume that they are. In fact, they're pretty down to earth. That's why a lot of them seek advice from experts. That's why a lot of them get into business, because business requires marketing and selling. Do you know how many people I know who are struggling financially that think that selling is beneath them, that seeking advice is beneath them? Do you know how many middle class people I know who are struggling financially that try and control everything themselves? They do their own research. They don't want to seek any expert advice. Why? Because they have pride, too much pride. I mean, pride is good, but excessive pride is bad, and it can stop you from seeking assistance. It can stop you from realizing your own deficiencies. And this is one of the things I have found in a lot of people who are struggling financially. Too much pride, not enough humility to say, hey, I don't know everything. I must seek out advice. And look, I can tell you, even in our training company, as a mentor, the people who seek my mentorship services are generally those who are already doing reasonably well in life. They may be stagnating, they want to get to the next level, that's why they seek mentoring. But the people who are struggling the most never put their hand up and say, I want help. They have too much pride. They have too much pride to ask, right? And so this is one of the things that keeps them where they are and prevents them from becoming successful financially. The other thing that I have found with a lot of people who are struggling financially is they're waiting for some sort of a miracle. They're not understanding of the fact that they can go and change their circumstances. They don't take full responsibility for their life. Their attitude is, let's see what happens. What do you mean, let's see what happens? What do you think is going to happen? You have to make it happen. If you don't make it happen, it's not going to happen. What are you waiting for? Are you waiting for some sort of a miracle? Are you waiting for some sort of a magical circumstance or just appear in your life? They may not even realize it, but you can hear it in their language. They wait and wait and wait, never realizing that the power's in their hands, that the magic wand is in their hands. They're waiting for somebody else to wave the magic wand. And this is another reason why a lot of them are very reactive in life. They're not proactive. They wait and wait and wait. And the only time they make a change in their life is when things go wrong. It's been said that successful people make decisions out of inspiration. Unsuccessful people make decisions out of desperation. And so a lot of people who are struggling financially, they wait till things get desperate, and only then they make a change. How many of your own friends and colleagues do you know who are stuck in a dead-end job? They know they must get out. They know that they don't make enough income. But how many of them are proactively doing something? They will wait and wait and wait till things get so bad, and then they will try and make some change. And this is one of the big problems that a lot of people have who are struggling financially, that they're very reactive in life. They're waiting for a miracle rather than creating the miracle. Another difference that I have found over my years of observing people who are financially struggling, they complain endlessly. Now, it's okay to complain sometimes, but anytime you complain, you must ask yourself, am I doing anything to fix this problem, or am I just highlighting the problem? So what I have found that the difference between people who become financially successful versus the people who don't is when financially successful people, even before they became financially successful, when they complain about something, immediately they want to do something to fix that problem. Whereas the people who are unsuccessful financially, they just complain and they leave it at that. It's almost like they can see the problem, but they're waiting for somebody else to fix the problem. But people on this side, the people who are actually financially successful, they go, hey, there's a problem, let me try and fix it. These people will say, hey, there's a problem, I hope somebody else fixes it. And that's a different attitude altogether. No, and I guess this is probably not a surprise to anybody, that people on this side who are financially successful generally end up in leadership positions anyway, because they lead their own self, they lead their lives, they lead their future, and then they end up eventually leading other people and organizations and projects. These people just follow because they're waiting for somebody else to come and fix their life. This particular attitude is why a lot of these people who are financially unsuccessful remain financially unsuccessful for decades, because they don't make this change in the way they think. Another difference that I have found over the years observing people who are financially successful versus people who are financially unsuccessful, the financially unsuccessful people spoil their children. They don't discipline their kids, they spoil them. People on this side, they discipline their kids, they discipline them. The reward comes after the result. And so the way that their kids are being trained is that, look, even though we're doing well financially, you don't automatically get the benefit of that. But you'll see a lot of people in the poor and middle class, even if they make a lot of income, the first thing that they do is they spoil their kids. And they spoil their kids because they think that that's what money is for indulgence. And what they end up doing is they end up developing bad habits in their kids who don't actually respect the value of money. They don't look at money as a tool to make more money. They don't look at money as a tool to build or create. They look at money as a tool to impress. And this is one of the things that prevents them from becoming wealthy, because they're more concerned about looking wealthy than actually becoming wealthy. Another fundamental difference that I have found is that the people who are struggling financially tend to prioritize entertainment in their spare time. Now, when they have spare time or they have spare money, immediately that time and money gets allocated to entertainment. Yeah, they go to shopping malls, they'll hang out there in food courts, sit there for long periods of time. You'll see them going to watch movies and sports matches, right? The majority of people who are actually watching sports matches are not really wealthy. And they really should be understanding that what are they doing giving 8 hours of their time watching somebody else become rich? They don't think like that, because they want this immediate instant pleasure and instant gratification. They continue to prioritize entertainment. But the people who are financially successful, what they do is they prioritize learning in their spare time. They realize that they want to get to a certain level, and so any spare time that they have must be allocated to their own development, to upskilling themselves, to changing the way they think, to improving their perspectives. And this is one of the main differences why a lot of people on this side remain poor. And the last thing that I have observed in my experience is that the people who are struggling financially tend to prioritize their vices over virtues. You'll find that it's generally the people who are struggling financially that tend to be the biggest consumers of pornography and entertainment and alcohol and tobacco and all of that sort of stuff. Look, and once in a while I think it's fine, but a vice is something that you're addicted to, right? I mean, if you're doing once in a while, it's fine. But a lot of these people don't actually have self-control, so they end up spending money on things that are not improving their life, that are not improving their mind, that are not improving their health. But people on this side who are financially successful, their vices are different. They are going and spending more time on networking. They're going and spending more time on luncheons with their clients. They're trying to meet more people in their spare time. They don't prioritize their vices, they prioritize their virtues. A lot of them will go to places of worship, and they will go to clubs, country clubs, and try and be around people who are successful as well. So these are some of the differences that I have found in my years of observing people. And I want you to understand that there are certain perspectives, behaviors, and habits that are going to keep you financially struggling. And it wouldn't matter how much knowledge you have. It wouldn't matter how many books you read, because the first step to changing your results is to change your mindset and your perspectives about money and wealth.